with a gift of fine jewelry from Pakula and Goff Jewelers in Glenbrook Square and now in Covington Plaza.
8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 roast beef sandwiches.
5 roast beef sandwiches?
That's what mine said.
That can't be right.
It says 5.
Announcing Arby's Holiday 5 for 5 deal. Get 5 delicious slow-roasted regular roast beef sandwiches for just $5. We'll even gift wrap them.
I thought it was 5 golden rings.
It says roast beef sandwiches.
That's the way I remember
I kind of like the change.
But hurry, Arby's Holiday 5 for 5 deal ends soon.
Christmas got you a little jittery? Then light up your holidays early and save 25 to 40% on all your shopping at the Holiday Sale at Hudson's. Hudson's Holiday Sale ends Sunday.
Go behind the scenes of this season's wildest film, only on Extra.
Good evening. I'm Hugh Downs.
And I'm Barbara Walters. And this is 2020.
From ABC News, around the world and into your home, the stories that touch your life with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. This is 2020. Tonight, the old neighborhood. It isn't what it used to be. This is America. But where's the English?
If they're going to come here, they ought to learn our ways of doing it. And our ways of doing it is English.
Millions of your tax dollars buy special teachers for immigrants, special translations for their parents.
This is an absolute disgrace to throw taxpayer dollars away on all these different languages.
Should they be forced to speak English?
It's just a very thinly disguised veneer for racism.
Lynn Shure spotlights a message that's dividing Congress and the country. Everyone's welcome here, but please, speak English. And it's the season for giving, but do you know where this donation goes?
Only a minor amount of that is going to the charity.
A 2020 investigation uncovers the big business behind your small change. Labels like these draw millions of dollars worth of donations. But we'll show you who's on the receiving end.
If the public doesn't know it, that's their problem.
Arnold Diaz with the truth about giving and taking. You may be contributing to charity for profit. Then, a high-tech miracle for many patients faced with surgery. Now it can be done without a scalpel. Dr. Timothy Johnson with an amazing medical breakthrough. Some call it bloodless surgery. Plus, beauty, mystery, daring. Our own Hugh Downs is off on another fantastic adventure, exploring the world below, visiting an amazing state-of-the-art laboratory beneath the sea.
Oh, hi.
A unique environment with all the comforts of home, but some odd effects.
I can't whistle.
An awe-inspiring journey for the explorer in you. Hugh Downs takes you into the age of Aquarius. Those stories tonight, December 15th, 1995, after this brief message.
Got your eye on Tyco's Radio Control Rebound 4x4? Got a coupon? Shop Walmart for your kids, where you always save on toys. With coupons, you save sometimes. With Walmart, always. Got your eye on Fantastic Santa Surprise and Sticker Maker? Got a coupon? What? Shop Walmart for your kids, where you always save on toys. With coupons, you save sometimes. With Walmart, always.
This holiday season, give him the Gillette Sensor XL with protective microfins. The best you can give. The best a man can get.
Happy holidays.
holidays from Energizer.
The message from America is known throughout the world. Immigrants welcome here. It's even inscribed in the Statue of Liberty, although these days many of the millions of immigrants who have settled here might not be able to read it. And that fact is at the center of a growing national controversy. Should immigrants be forced to learn English?
Well, community activists across the country are beginning to say yes, and so are some top politicians who are making English first a campaign issue. Why is public opinion changing? Have we gone too far in making immigrants feel at home? Well, Lynn Sure traveled to the east side and the west side of America to find out.
We are, of course, a nation of immigrants, but not everyone approves of what that's done to the neighborhood.
Well, here we are in the multicultural heartland. Everything is in Spanish here. I don't even feel like I'm in the United States. I feel like I'm in the middle of Latin America. I mean, one needs...
Frank Borzalieri is a member of the school board in Queens, New York. A man who says he's angry that we've become a nation of unfamiliar sounds.
In the old days, when they used to refer to an ethnic neighborhood, an Italian neighborhood, a Polish neighborhood, everything was still in English.
Right.
If you knew you were Americans, you knew you were in the United States, you felt like you were Americans. Here, everything in Spanish.
Across the country in Westminster, California, some townspeople say they're being crowded out by non-English speaking Vietnamese immigrants.
If they're going to come here, they ought to learn our ways of doing it. And our ways of doing it is English.
Arthur Gandy, who's lived in Westminster 33 years and sits on the planning board, puts the problem bluntly. Why can't everyone here just speak English? Here's why he's concerned.
About half of the 83,000 residents of Westminster are foreign immigrants, and half of them are Vietnamese. In fact, more Vietnamese live here than in any other part of the world except for the city that used to be called Saigon, which is why this area is known as Little Saigon.
Trên Little Saigon Radio và Little Saigon Television KLCA 62 và từ Hollywood.
That's the name of a popular daily radio show and a TV broadcast in Vietnamese. There are 7 daily Vietnamese newspapers. The main shopping area, with more signs in Vietnamese than English, is a thriving success. Some 2,000 small businesses, the majority in town, operated by Vietnamese immigrants, some of whom speak only their native language.
How do you think the situation might change, if at all, if English were the official U.S. language?
Then all communities, even Westminster, would have to change so that they would have to put signs up in English, that they would have to learn to speak in English. This is the Americans' country, and they have come here, and they should learn the American way.
That's part of what's behind several bills in Congress to make English our official language. If passed, almost all federal publications would have to be printed in just English. No longer could some 265 federal documents, like voting ballots, be translated into foreign languages. If English is our official language, at this motor vehicle office in California, you probably wouldn't be able to take your driver's test in Chinese or 34 other languages. That also goes for Massachusetts, where the test is now offered in 24 foreign languages, including Albanian and Turkish. Or New York, 20 languages. Representative Toby Roth of Wisconsin, sponsor of the most talked about bill, says the government is making it too easy for immigrants not to learn English.
When you look all over the world, it's language that binds people together. And I'm concerned because in too many parts of our country today, you do not have to have English to vote. You do not have to have proficiency in English to fill out government forms. You don't have to speak English.
Frank Borzalieri in Queens agrees. He says he was furious when he got guidelines in the mail to pick a new schools chancellor in New York City. Obviously, Borzalieri said, a lot of the people doing the picking couldn't even speak English.
And we have it here in Spanish, and we have it in Chinese, and we have it in Haitian Creole. You know how badly we need that. We have it in Korean, and we have it in Russian. This is an absolute disgrace to throw taxpayer dollars away on all these different languages. If anyone sees this and doesn't realize a need for a common language, I don't know what else will prove it to them.
With the subway roaring above us, Frank and I strolled through his old neighborhood. Changed so much, he says, he can hardly recognize it.
At the time I was growing up, this neighborhood was English-speaking, and that's the way it should be now. The immigrants today understand that the establishment, that we don't expect them to have to learn English. And if we don't expect it of them, if we don't demand it of them, they're not going to do it.
So this kind of store represents that to you?
Absolutely, the whole neighborhood does.
Well, do you speak English?
No, I speak Spanish.
No. What happens if somebody comes in here and wants to buy something and they only speak English?
I know, only Spanish.
Only Spanish. So you can't buy anything if you only speak English?
It's an outrage. It's an absolute outrage.
Do you speak English? No English. Poquito English. Okay. Where are you from?
Huh?
Where are you from?
No
okay.
English.
Not enough English. Okay.
I hope my car never gets stuck in this neighborhood because I'll be finished unless they speak the universal language of auto mechanics.
Many of the 32 million Americans who speak a language other than English at home say they don't need our language, like these folks at a senior center in Queens, New York. Nellie Lator came here from Chile 16 years ago.
I get by fine without learning English. I don't think I need it. I have my family, my friends, my community center. For me, this is my life.
Marco Cuellar is from Colombia and has lived in Queens 15 years.
We don't have to learn English. We came here to find work. I want to learn, but I don't have to speak English. It's hard to learn English.
He's right. English is a hard language to grasp, especially if free instruction is difficult to come by. In fact, most immigrants do want to learn English, but many are frequently shut out of overcrowded classes. In New York, there's a waiting list of at least 20,000. One program for adult immigrants has resorted to a lottery system for classes. At this session, about 200 people showed up to fill only 58 slots. That makes it especially hard to learn.
Should we say because it's hard, we're no longer going to require it?
Norman Shumway, a director of the organization U.S. English, has been lobbying for an official English-only bill for years.
Should we tell these people, yes, come to this country, but don't worry, we'll cater to all of your needs in your own language. You won't be able to get much of a job, you'll never be accepted by your neighbors, but don't worry, we'll take care of you the rest of your life. That seems to be the kind of message that we're giving.
The movement is growing. 22 states have already made English their official language. And in these recent magazine polls, 73% of the readers of U.S. News and World Report and 65% of people polled by Time and CNN supported English as the official language. Why now? Ed Chen, an American Civil Liberties Union lawyer from California, says it's part of a dangerous trend.
I think the subtext really is that it's just, in many cases, a very thinly disguised veneer for racism.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Chen says the racism is a reaction to the 800,000 legal immigrants and the 300,000 illegals that came here last year. Many of them have benefited from bilingual education in schools, mandated by federal and state governments years ago to help children ease into American life. But critics say native languages are now often overused in the schools, as in these classes in Korean and Spanish. The English-only bills would cut off federal funding to most bilingual programs. One likely target? This Queens, New York 4th grade class, made up of 40 mostly immigrant Hispanic children from Colombia, Ecuador, the Dominican Republic, Mexico, and Uruguay. The teacher, Evita Sanabria, uses Spanish more than English.
Most of the students in the class still do not speak enough English that the class can be conducted in English, so therefore, in order for them to learn concepts, I have to speak to them in their native language.
Get rid of the native language instruction.
Linda Chavez, president of the Center for Equal Opportunity and former director of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, is a vocal advocate of stopping this kind of bilingual instruction in favor of only English most of the day.
spend money on helping immigrant children learn English, but be clear in your understanding that the primary goal is to teach English, not to maintain Spanish, not to maintain ethnic identification with your country of origin, but to become American.
In fact, only a few of these children at PS19, like Marlene Garcia, seemed comfortable with their English in this class.
Do you translate for your parents sometimes?
Yeah. My mother, sometimes she understands things that they say, so I tell things that they say to her. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
In contrast, at the bilingual class at the Wilmore Elementary School in Westminster, California, these fifth graders seem to be doing comparatively better. Some of these Vietnamese youngsters speak very little English and have only been in this country a few months, some longer. But they're all taught science in this class only in English by their teacher, Lori Curran.
Friction, inertia, gravity.
Two translators help them along. One Vietnamese.
Một cái ly, với lại một cái lá bài, một cái đồng tiền, là một cái penny, okay?
And one Hispanic. They briefly describe the lessons in their native language, then circulate around the classroom. When these children really get stumped, the translators jump in to straighten them out. But Mrs. Curran uses so much English, the children soon pick it up.
How about the word force? Is that a science word? Yes. If I give them two languages at the same time, they won't listen to the English. They will just listen to what's most comfortable, which would make sense for them. But what we need to do is teach them English and have them understand in their primary language.
Dr. Ko Pham, a successful physician who's lived in Westminster 20 years, has learned English, but doesn't think it should be legislated. As head of the Vietnamese Chamber of Commerce, he speaks for his immigrant business community, with a heavy accent, but with great eloquence.
We come for freedom, for the future of our children, and for better lives.
You are aware that there are several bills pending to make English the official language in this country. How would that affect this community?
A lot of people will be very resentful. Their dream to come to the United States because this is land, a promised land, and a land opportunity. We left Vietnam, going to the new land, knowing nothing would be sure or not, left everything behind. So why we force the people suffering more?
English-only proponents say they don't want immigrants to suffer or to lose their native culture. But they do insist you're not really American unless you speak English.
Well, Lynn, probably the first generation, the older generation, may not learn English, but is it not more important for children to be taught English in school before they're taught the concepts or other subjects?
Well, Barbara, what we heard from so many people is that the children get Americanized very quickly. They go to the shopping malls, they watch television, they listen to the radio. They're learning English. In fact, Dr. Ko Pham told us he's concerned because his children don't know enough Vietnamese. So it does have a flip side, and yes, indeed, it is a generational thing.
Do you feel, or do most people feel, that it should be legislated that English is the #1 language?
Well, that's the issue. And I have heard from so many people, if you're in a taxi cab and the driver doesn't speak English, if you're in a hospital or getting medical assistance and somebody doesn't speak English, you really want to scream, why don't you learn English? A lot of people say that's fine, but maybe it doesn't have to be the law. Yeah. That's what the debate is.
Yeah, yet one more law.
Exactly.
It's a subject often discussed, especially in this city where you do take taxis and so many don't speak English. Thank you, Lynn.
Well, next, what have you given to charity lately? Perhaps not as much as you think. Arnold Diaz discovered what many people don't know about their donations. They may be contributing to charity for profits. After this.
Imagine a video store where the hits are never out of stock. No late return fees, free delivery, and thousands of movies. Stop dreaming. Get DirecTV. Over 50 channels of movies, and I choose when I want to watch them. Hits, classics, new releases, beamed in digitally for great picture and sound. Imagine never hearing, please be kind, rewind.
This holiday season, put DirecTV in the 18-inch dish at the top of your list. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
How would your dentist recommend you clean your teeth?
The Braun Oral-B Plaque Remover has been clinically proven to clean teeth better than a manual toothbrush. Its unique cup-shaped brush head removes plaque from deep between teeth and even below the gum line, leaving your teeth so clean you can feel it. And now kids can start brushing better too, with a model designed just for them. The Braun Oral-B Plaque Remover cleans better than a manual toothbrush.
You're about to embark on a journey to your skin's inner layers, beneath the dry regions where healthier-looking skin lies waiting. Doctors recommend the formula in new Curel Alpha Hydroxy Lotion to help it emerge. A look within the skin shows Curel moisturizes deeply, heals thoroughly, lifting away dull, dry skin to reveal your healthiest-looking skin.
Who knew this incredible skin was under there?
You can see the cure in Curel, new Curel Alpha Hydroxy Lotion.
Italians do not live by pasta alone. So to celebrate their many loves, the Olive Garden created a combination of the best of Italy. The Tuscan Feast, just $11.95 for a short time. Experience garlic shrimp, the way it's prepared along the Mediterranean. Chicken and spinach manicotti, together with a sirloin steak grilled Tuscan style. With free soup or salad and breadsticks. The Tuscan Feast, just $11.95. So much to celebrate, so much to love. Only at the Olive Garden.
Happy holidays, Uncle Bill. I've been very busy shopping in Rappy.
This week at Target, Canon cameras are on sale, like the ultra-compact 70mm SureShot 70 zoom camera, only $149, or the dual-focus Canon SureShot Telemax, just $99. America's hot for SureShot.
I found your gift near some pretty green jumpers. By the way, I still wear a size 6X.
Children of the world.
Saturday, when Jeff gets mixed up with his in-laws,
I say dump him.
he becomes the outlaw.
Your dad's so mad he's got that spit thing going on in the corner of his mouth.
Foxworthy, then Julia flips for a new guy.
I want to send the right message. What message? I do tax returns?
But he flips back.
You're looking at my hair, aren't you?
Maybe this time after Foxworthy, Saturday.
Sunday, a gorgeous Grinch gives Superman a deadly present.
You're burning up.
I don't know what's happening. Now, only a Christmas miracle can keep him from dying.
My parents. Take care of them for me. He's in a coma.
On an all-new Lois and Clark, Sunday.
Every year, especially at this time, Americans drop millions of dollars of small change into charity boxes and millions more worth of used clothes into those parking lot bins. And we feel so good about it. But do you know how much of your generosity actually reaches the needy? Well, we looked into that, and tonight you are going to be surprised because it's a lot less than you expect. As Arnold Diaz discovered, the donations you make have helped create a big and very profitable business.
You can help us out today by making that contribution.
While Christmas time is the traditional season of giving, Americans are being asked for contributions all year round. But do you know where what you're giving is going? In some cases, probably not, say charity watchdog groups. They're sounding the alarm about two types of fundraising. One is charity vending machines. You know, give a quarter, get a gumball, help a good cause. But critics say that charity labels are often misleading. Millions of dollars are put in these machines, a quarter at a time, by people unaware that most of it is not going to the charities.
If you think you're helping the charity, you're not. If you think you're helping your sweet tooth, you probably are.
Jim Bausch is president of the National Charities Information Bureau. He points to labels such as this. All it says is, your purchase benefits the Adam Walsh Children's Fund. It does not say less than 2 cents out of the quarter goes to the charity.
The issue is that the charity's name is being used to solicit a great deal of money, and only a minor amount of that is going to the charity.
What most people don't know is that these charity vending machines are not owned by the charities. They're owned by individuals hoping to make a profit by using the charity's name. It's a business. Anyone can get into it, as we found out firsthand.
In Vending Times magazine, we found lots of ads for charities willing to sell the use of their name cheap. For $1.50 a month, we could buy a Missing Children's Awareness Foundation sticker for our machine. Only $1 a month for Child Search, 3.5 cents a day for the American Association of Lost Children. The rest of the money people gave for the gumballs would be ours to keep. The idea is, with a charity's name on the label, people are more likely to buy. They don't know, however, that most of their money is going into the vendor's pocket. And it's more than just a nickel and dime issue, says the Better Business Bureau's Barbara Opatowski.
If people say, oh, it's only a quarter, I'm getting a mint out of it, I'm getting a piece of bubble gum out of it, so what the heck?
They say that that's fine. They may want to just think that someone else is making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on those nickels and dimes, and maybe they could be better spent.
The charities say the percentage they get may be small, but it's money they need, and it helps get their message out. That's fine, say the watchdog groups, but then tell the consumer the whole truth. Some machines do have standard disclosure statements, but we could only find one that gives the exact amount going to the cause. On this Muscular Dystrophy Association sticker, in small print at the bottom, it says 10% of gross sales donated to MDA. The other problem area donors are being warned about is used clothing, where again the issue is not what it says on the label, but what it doesn't say.
Before you drop your used clothing into one of these charity bins, you may be interested in knowing who's getting what you're giving. Our investigation finds in many cases it's not who you think. Some of the riches from your rags may be going not to the charity, but to private businesses that have found a way to cash in on the charity's name.
In many cases, while the bins have a charity's name on them, the clothing is really going to profit-making salvage companies. They own the boxes and pay charities a small fee to use their name. In the last 5 years, as worldwide demand for used clothing has driven prices up, the salvagers have put thousands of these bins in shopping center parking lots around the country, in many cases right next to the bins from Goodwill. Tom Smith is the president of New Jersey's Goodwill Industries.
You think the average person is going to come up here and be confused by all these other boxes next to the Goodwill?
Certainly do. It's just the perception. Our box is the blue and white. These boxes happen to be blue with white signs on them. So now we have 2 sets of blue and white boxes.
Deliberate?
Coincidence? We don't know.
You don't think so, do you?
No, I don't.
How are they able to put so many more boxes here than you are?
This is a profit-making entity.
And Goodwill is not. For 50 years, it's been collecting used clothing. Items in good condition go to its 1,400 thrift shops nationwide. The rest is sold by the pound to salvagers. More than 80% of the proceeds are used by Goodwill for job training for the disadvantaged and people with disabilities. The Salvation Army also owns its bins and sells the donated clothing in its own thrift shops and to salvagers. The proceeds, minus expenses, go to the charity. But that's not the case with the profit-making boxes, such as the ones owned by USA Leasing, which sells all the clothing it collects to exporters and keeps most of the money. I asked USA's manager, Harry Ballard, how much they pay to use a charity's name.
They get 2 cents a pound.
They get 2 cents a pound?
They get 2 cents a pound.
And how much do you get for the
We get 14 cents a pound for the goods.
14.
But out of that 14, we got all the overhead and everything else that's here, so it's a big difference.
Ballard claims the charity ends up with 40% of the profits. He says people who think all their donation is going to the charity are naive.
When you donate money into a box, okay, do you honestly believe nobody takes money out of that box before it gets to the charity? The man that puts that box there gets 45%. You know that, and I know that.
Right.
If the public doesn't know it, that's their problem.
Do you think it's at all misleading to the person who has their clothes and wants to give it to a charity?
The person that has their clothing, as far as I'm concerned, will put it into an empty box with nobody's name on it rather than throw it in the garbage.
In fact, we did find boxes without any charity's name on them. It just said clothing drop for the needy and help those in need. We called the number scribbled on this box to ask where the clothing goes. No one called us back. Some boxes give a charity's name, but no address or phone number to get in touch with them. Still, people put their clothing into these bins for causes they know nothing about.
Have you ever heard of Friends of the Homeless?
No, I haven't.
Have you heard of Goodwill?
Yes, I have.
How come you're putting it in Friends of the Homeless and not Goodwill?
Maybe I could split it. I don't know. It's the nearest box.
What if I told you that the people who own this box is a salvage company and they take the clothing and they bundle it up and they sell it overseas?
We told him the charity gets only a small portion of the money.
Actually, I wouldn't put anything in there. I'd go over to Goodwill.
And that's exactly what he did. As for Friends of the Homeless, while these bins are in New Jersey and feature a picture of a snow-covered house, We tracked the charity down to sunny Daytona Beach, Florida, where founder Dan Prey said he used to have a New Jersey branch, but it's closed down. However, the bins remain. He says the charity needs the 25% it gets from the sale of the clothing to help find jobs for the homeless in Daytona Beach.
The Northeast has an army of homeless people. People want to give to help them. They're going to put their clothing in the bin that says Friends of the Homeless, not knowing it's going to Daytona, Florida.
Right, I understand that, yeah.
So what should the consumer do about that?
I wouldn't give to them then.
Looking at these bins, which have the name of the Police Athletic League on them, you'd never know the charity receives only 5% from the sale of the donated clothing. The rest goes to the salvage company that owns the bins. The president of the charity's Yonkers, New York branch, Angelo Martinelli, says 5% is better than nothing, but he also made a surprising admission.
Don't you think the donors think these are charity boxes? They don't think it's a profit-making venture behind this, and that out of 95,000, you're going to get less than 3,000.
Well, I think they do.
Yeah.
But people today are looking to donate their clothing all over. I know that, you know, believe me, I don't bring my clothes here. I give them to a church, you know, or I give it to the Salvation Army, you know, or something to that effect. Myself, maybe I should be utilizing these boxes, but I don't.
If he doesn't give his clothes to his own charity, should you? The PAL contract requires the owner to put a disclaimer on these boxes saying all sale proceeds go to the unit owner. But it wasn't on the bins we saw. And the company, PAL Salvage, which got almost $1 million from the sale of the clothing last year, refused to answer our question. Watchdog groups are calling for disclosure statements on all charity clothing bins and vending machines so that donors would know exactly who's getting what. But that's not likely to happen. And with so many charities willing to sell the use of their name to profit-making businesses, the job of giving wisely is getting tougher.
Arnold, are there any laws in place now requiring the posting of what percentage goes to the charity?
None. It's strictly voluntary now. Very few do it. Some of the charities that we spoke with say now they're going to push the owners of these machines or bins to put a disclosure statement on so people will have some means of making an educated guess as to where your stuff is going.
Sure. If you had old clothing to donate and you wanted to be sure it went to someone who needed it and could use it, what should you best do?
If you want your clothing to go directly to someone, probably the best thing is go to a local church, a local shelter, some clothing drive where you know where it's going. Once you put it in that bin, the chances are it's going to be sold. Now, maybe it'll be sold in a thrift shop like the Salvation Army or Goodwill where they'll get the proceeds. In other cases, most of it, as you see, will go to the owner of that bin.
Often, real charitable feelings may require a one-on-one relationship with the people that you want to help.
That's right, and the experts say write a check directly to the charity. Avoid all these middlemen causes. That's the best way to do it.
Good advice. Thank you, Arnold.
Okay.
Well, next, a medical advance that will astound you. A futuristic procedure that eliminates the need for surgery. Dr. Timothy Johnson will show you how it's done when we come back.
What are the odds of the sharper image, Continental Airlines Grand Destinations, Royal Caribbean Cruises, and FTD all having a sale at exactly the same time? Actually, they're quite good. Presenting Master Values from MasterCard. Immediate savings of 10 to 40% at places all over right now. Exclusively for people who use MasterCard.
Skimpy champagne. I like it.
Sparkling, delicious. No champagne tastes like Valedore.
Frankly, I think it tastes better than champagne.
One sip of Valedore, one sip says it all.
It's a mixer. It's a blender. It's a chopper. If you spent your whole life in the kitchen, you develop multiple personalities too. The Braun Multi-Mix.
AT&T's idea of customer service.
Our business hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
MCI's idea of customer service.
Thank you for calling MCI. How may we help you?
Customer service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Every holiday season at Mailboxes, etc., 2 customers bring in 30 dozen shortbread cookies for us to package and ship for them.
I do most of the cutting, and she does all the finishing touches. And we both watch the oven.
They have to be packaged very carefully.
They don't even jiggle. They don't juggle. They fix them, stabilize them.
They got their all in one piece.
Not even a grain of sugar off.
Depend on Mailboxes, etc. It's not what we do, it's how we do it.
Something's been overlooked in the design of women's razors. The woman. But there's one razor that adjusts to your legs and underarms, even bikini lines. Norelco's Silhouette, the first razor designed to shave a woman where a woman shaves.
She had the perfect life. He was the man of her dreams. But she had a dark secret side that ripped their lives apart. Now, can their love survive?
Please don't leave me.
Melrose Place's Josie Bissett and Murder One's Jason Gedrick, based on a shocking true story. Dare to Love, Sunday on ABC.
Tuesday. He starts screaming all this racial trash, and then all of a sudden I'm shot.
Is it a racial hate crime?
Got a nut out there with a gun.
Or a father protecting his child?
Those drunks went after my son, and you shot them both.
Will Andy and Fancy risk their jobs to get to the truth?
Start where you beat his son. Why'd he beat his son? Give it up.
An all-new Blue, Tuesday. Viewer discretion advised.
A brilliant medical advance. Call it bloodless surgery, a futuristic weapon against life-threatening disease. We'll show you the beam of hope when 2020 continues after this from our ABC stations.
Tonight at 11 in your first 7 minutes of news, a Steuben County business is heavily damaged by fire. You'll see how it all happened tonight. Mayor Paul Helmke renews his efforts for take-home cop cars. We'll have the latest for you. Will the federal government shut down once again? The clock is ticking. And find out how surgery put a smile on a young girl's face. Now this.
Christmas got you a little jittery? Then light up your holidays with Hudson's Holiday Sale. End Sunday.
Brent Tranum says look for a sunny day in sports. Team Fantasy has Comet highlights in high school basketball action. Also, we'll show you a wild pool shot you won't soon forget. That and more tonight at 11.
You put the chicken on the grill and you smoke it all up. Put the cheese on the chicken and you wrap it all up. With the guaca, you put the guacamole with the pico. Sprinkle on pico de gallo. Put it all in a tortilla. And now you got a Chili's fajita.
Nobody makes chicken fajitas like Chili's. Nobody.
Some days are made to last forever. Beautiful from Estee Lauder. Now, 4 perfumes, a refillable atomizer and velvet bag, $27.50 with any Estee Lauder fragrance purchase. This holiday offer is exclusively at Ayers.
The season's best to you from all of us here at 21 Alive.
From ABC News, 2020 continues. Once again, Barbara Walters.
Well, now something we love to do here at 2020, and that is to bring you news of medical advances that might directly affect you and the people you care about. Tonight, an alternative to surgery, a truly amazing new technique that's allowing doctors to perform potentially life-saving procedures without ever cutting the patient. Dr. Timothy Johnson will show you what believers have dubbed the beam of hope.
8-year-old Stephanie Miller is entering the door to the latest in high-tech radiation treatment, which involves 3-story-high electromagnets that can aim powerful proton particles into precise cancer-killing beams. 400 tons of equipment costing $85 million is all coming together to treat Stephanie's brain tumor. 53-year-old Kurt Kandor, who has prostate cancer, is getting the same treatment. Until Kurt found out about proton radiation treatment, he and his girlfriend thought surgery was his only choice.
Every urologist, every cardiologist, even the radiation oncologist told us that surgery was the only option, and nobody ever mentioned that proton therapy even existed.
I had resolved in my mind that I was going to have surgery. I was certainly not looking forward to it. But...
Instead, Kurt chose a unique but experimental technology that holds promise as a kind of bloodless surgery for a variety of cancers. Proton treatment, which has been used on over 11,000 patients worldwide, is like conventional radiation therapy, but with one huge difference. Conventional radiation causes damage as it travels through the body. Protons act differently. They can be targeted more precisely so that cancer-killing rays are focused only on the tumor. That means that doctors who had been treating Stephanie with conventional radiation can give Stephanie a much higher dose of radiation without harmful side effects.
And if they had done conventional, they would have had to gone through both sides of her brain, which the right side would have been damaged from the conventional. With the proton, they don't have to touch the right side.
For Kurt, it means avoiding surgery, which can carry a higher risk of impotence and incontinence.
His happiness is so dependent on being that physical, being that athletic person, and being a full man. Can I say that?
Frankly, I may be getting old, but I began to worry more about the incontinence and the impotence.
In early forms of proton therapy, the radiation beam was not mobile, and it was limited to brain tumors. But in 1991, they started using movable beams, allowing them to attack a variety of cancers, including head and neck, abdomen, chest, and prostate.
So we designed one where it would allow us to treat a patient any side in the body from essentially any angle in the body. And that was the rationale behind going with more of the movable beam.
Because the radiation beam is so focused, the side effects appear minimal.
He swims a mile a day. He does 45 minutes a day on the stepper. We go out to dinner. He walks our dog. Our sex life is great. You know, I don't see any side effects.
We're almost ready, Stephanie.
It is too early to know just how valuable this therapy will be for the thousands of patients treated so far. But 3 months after her treatment, Stephanie Miller is improving. Her tumor has shrunk, and her blood counts are up. And Kurt Kander, who spent 2.5 months in California for treatment, is back at work in Maryland selling yachts. Doctors say they can't feel his tumor anymore, and his prostate blood tests are now in the normal range.
I'd say to my friends, I'd say to my enemies, go. It really is a painless, simple, and so far, for me anyway, very, very, very successful form of treatment.
Dr. Tim Johnson is in our Boston studios now. And Tim, this is dramatic and obviously good news. How widely available is this technique?
Well, in this country, currently, the only hospital-based proton program is the one you saw in the piece at Loma Linda, California. Next year here in Boston, another one will open at the Massachusetts General Hospital. And if these two can demonstrate their success in treating cancers that couldn't otherwise be treated effectively, I think we'll see more of them.
Great. Any side effects apparent yet?
There are side effects that can occur with any kind of radiation treatment, damage to tissues, such as radiation burns, for example, in treating the prostate, in the rectum, or in the bladder. But again, the theory here is that because of the nature of the proton beam, you can give more energy with fewer side effects, and already they're starting to demonstrate that.
Marvelous. And thank you, Tim.
Well, next, my pal Hugh Downs has done it again. Brought us a wondrous adventure beneath the sea. I love watching this, and I think your whole family will too. So take the plunge with Hugh when we come back.
These always brought me luck.
White Diamonds, the intriguing fragrance from Elizabeth Taylor. You build a razor with a precision groove to help the Norelco lift and cut system shave closer than ever before. And what do you get? The Norelco razor, our closest shave ever.
I just wasn't satisfied with the way my headache medicine was working. And then my doctor told me about a medicine called Arutis.
Of all the prescription pain medicines, 82% of doctors surveyed have prescribed Arutis, and now it's available in a non-prescription strength. Potent new Arutis KT.
Just 25 milligrams is as effective as 400 milligrams of Motrin IB, 440 of Aleve, or 1,000 milligrams of extra-strength Tylenol.
Now I've got Arudis KT.
New Arudis KT, the potent medicine for pain.
Entertainment Weekly calls Nixon the best movie of the year. An absolute masterpiece.
They can't impeach me for bombing Cambodia. The president can bomb anybody he likes.
Oliver Stone has made a compelling, fascinating film. Nixon has Oscar written all over it.
Daddy, they don't know the real you.
Anthony Hopkins delivers an Oscar-caliber performance.
When do the rest of us stop paying off your debts?
This is Nixon's finish.
Nixon, rated R, starts December 20th.
I'm known as the cookie lady. I just like to make people feel good.
We had coffee put out for the customers, and somebody had said, hey, where's the cookies?
So I reached down and I pulled out this really big tub of cookies, and I go, here's your cookies.
Next thing we knew, there was a lady in line that said, hey, are those Belinda cookies?
And she like reaches over and she gives them to her husband, and the customer behind's like, you know, over here, please.
We really, here at Walmart, try to go the extra mile for the customer.
It's like a driving force I have. I gotta make the cookies.
ABC News 2020 will continue in a moment.
Time's running out. Finish your holiday shopping during Ayers Super Saturday Sale. Shop extended hours Saturday, 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. 0% finance charge. Buy now, no payment till March on any $50 or more purchase store-wide. We've got gifts for everyone on your list, all at super sale savings of 25 to 50%. Remember, 0% finance charge. Buy now, no payment till March on any $50 or more purchase store-wide. The Super Saturday Sale, only at Ayers.
Billy wants to work on airplanes when he grows up. Maybe one that you fly in. Now, would you like this free booklet of simple ways you can help improve his education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE. Sally wants to be a surgeon someday. Maybe she'll operate on you. Now, would you like a free booklet of simple ways you can help improve her education? Call 1-800-96-PROMISE.
Well, if you're ready for a trip to another world at this time, all you need to bring with you is a sense of wonder. 25 years ago, I had the remarkable experience of exploring one of the first underwater habitats. It was called a saturation dive habitat because it allowed scientists to live below the surface for weeks at a time. Well, tonight we'll show you what an impressive difference 25 years can make. Join me on a dive into the future. While you're sitting in the comfort of your home, scientists are doing the same thing beneath the sea. It has been said many times that there are no great challenges left for explorers. That humankind must look to the planets and the stars for the next frontier. And yet the vast majority of the surface of our own planet has never been visited. They are the mountain ranges, canyons, and plateaus which lie beneath the sea. In 40 years of diving, I've had the privilege of working with scientists who have devoted their lives to exploring and understanding the oceans. Dr. Sylvia Earle, oceanographer, marine biologist, and longtime diving companion, believes humankind's greatest adventure lies just a few feet from any shore and down.
I think there is an illusion that because we can go to the moon and we've sent probes to Mars, that surely we can get a mere 7 miles to the bottom of the ocean.
In 1974, Sylvia Earle got a little closer to that goal off the coast of Hawaii. Encased in a special suit, she set a record, walking the ocean floor 1,250 feet down. Had any part of that suit ruptured, the tremendous pressure at that depth would simply have crushed her.
You put your confidence in the engineering and then enjoy the ride. And I certainly enjoyed access to 1,250 feet, about 400 meters beneath the blue Pacific, using this astronaut-like inner spacesuit. If you take that astronaut view, look back at the Earth from space, it's possible to certainly understand that this is an ocean planet, and that all of us, no matter where on the planet we live, are utterly dependent on the oceans.
25 years ago, as the Apollo missions were landing on the moon, our country also launched one of its most ambitious undersea research programs. It was called Tektite, an underwater habitat. One of the teams of scientists who lived and worked there was led by Dr. Sylvia Earle. She went on to become chief scientist of NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. Her most recent book, Sea Change, stresses above all the need to understand the world's oceans before pollution and overfishing destroy them. One of the most powerful tools for studying these changes is the latest in underwater habitats, an undersea laboratory called Aquarius.
Having the luxury, the gift of time to be able to explore from a base right there under the sea gives new meaning to the word working under pressure.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Scuba divers have always been limited in the time they could spend underwater, not just by their air supply, but also by the effects of ocean pressure. Under pressure, our body tissues absorb nitrogen, which must be given time to release before divers return to the surface. Otherwise, they risk the crippling or fatal sickness known as the bends. We call this release time decompression. The breakthrough of undersea habitats is that the air inside is kept at the same pressure as the surrounding ocean. Divers can remain under for weeks, decompressing only once at the end of their mission. On a warm August evening in the waters of the National Marine Sanctuary in the Florida Keys, Sylvia Earle and I prepared to get our first glimpse of Aquarius. As we descended through the dark waters, I realized the similarities between undersea travel and space travel. At night, Aquarius really was a space station under the ocean. Undersea life had already begun to colonize the outside walls of the habitat. We were surrounded on all sides by a living coral reef. Exploring along the steel side of Aquarius, we swam toward the light shining out from one of the observation windows, and I realized we were looking at an aquarium the other way around. We had become the fish. The habitat sits in 60 feet of water, resting on pylons. The entrance is through a rectangular opening cut into the floor in an area called the wet porch. Going through the airlock, there is a scientific laboratory, and then a larger living area for the 5 team members which accompany each mission. At the far end is the bunk room. Above Aquarius floats the multi-million-dollar barge, which provides life support 24 hours a day.
Now, this support base is where people actually stay for days on end while there's a team below.
Next morning, as we approached the support barge, we saw the commitment it takes to keep a team of aquanauts alive and well. The Aquarius program is run by the University of North Carolina at Wilmington. Staff members were already busy hoisting supplies to and from Aquarius in watertight containers. Remember, the air coming up from inside the habitat is at ocean pressure. Divers help guide the containers when they go back down into the habitat. The barge has electric generators, a watch room with camera positions down below, even an emergency decompression chamber in case the air pressure in the habitat fails and the team has to surface quickly. With us that day was Dr. Alina Smant, Sylvia Earle's teammate from the Tektite missions. The 3 of us would compare notes on the progress in undersea research 25 years later. What had been a space station by night was now revealed in the filtered sunlight. It was a vision from an undersea future. Huge schools of fish parted as we approached the base of the habitat 50 feet down. Like a small submarine fixed to the ocean floor, the habitat's steel hull provided a gathering place for hundreds of the local inhabitants. We moved toward the rectangular entrance into a pocket of pressurized air. We had reached the wet porch, the transition between the sea and our underwater home. This was the place to stow diving gear, to take a hot freshwater shower to wash away the salt, and change into some dry clothes.
This is great. This is like the Starship Enterprise.
A lot more modern technology than 25 years ago. Beam me up.
Yeah, I'll say. Aquarius is really a steel cylinder which measures 43 feet from wet porch to bunk room. But beyond the airlock were all the comforts of a high-tech home.
Look at that, a computer. Now that is something we did not have.
Not 25 years ago. Yeah, it's weird, too, that I sound a little like Donald Duck, and I probably can't whistle. I couldn't before.
Give it a try.
Oh, I cannot whistle.
Living at 50 feet of pressure does affect things like whistling and voice tone. I wondered how it would be to fall asleep each night in that kind of environment.
Oh, it's no problem sleeping.
You get a lot of oxygen, don't you, even if they're regeneration?
Because there's a higher percentage of oxygen in this atmosphere than there is on the surface.
Don't let domestic touches like this microwave oven, or for that matter, the undersea toilet, fool you. Aquarius also serves as its own decompression chamber at the end of each mission, when the divers need to be brought back to surface pressure.
Just watch your step coming through there.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Good to see you.
Yeah, oh, hi.
We met the current residents of Aquarius, a 5-man team of aquanauts, already several days into their week-long mission. They were pleased to have company that day and were adapting well to their new surroundings. They even offered to share their valuable supplies.
One of you guys offered us Oreo cookies when we were outside. In fact, we still have the Oreos, so we wanted to know why you didn't open the window and hand them out.
This group of young scientists was measuring exactly how coral reefs obtain nutrients from deep water currents, a time-intensive process no one had been able to witness. Working in an undersea habitat finally made the research possible.
We've been fortunate enough to actually have a tremendously extended amount of time on the bottom to actually see some of this going on. And in the last few days, it had really good success.
The science team's routine each day involves 6 to 8 hours of diving around the coral reef, setting delicate instruments, bringing back samples taken at different times, and analyzing them immediately aboard Aquarius. No other marine laboratory in the country offers the same opportunity to study the ocean on its own terms.
You begin to take on the feeling of a resident, of really being a part of the action. You get to know fish as individuals, not just J-random barracuda, but that barracuda that has a special sense of curiosity, or that one over there that is particularly shy that you'd kind of like to get to know better.
We decided to venture out to join the aquanauts. I began to realize that perhaps the greatest change since the days of Tektite was not how much underwater habitats had changed, but how much the coral reef itself had changed. Even swimming within a national marine sanctuary, there was evidence of human pollution.
People are oblivious to what happens to old nets and fishing line. It gets tangled in coral, gets wrapped around the sponges with currents and tides. Fishing nets, when they're lost in the sea, go on fishing and fishing and fishing for decades.
For Sylvia Earle, the next generation of explorers must embrace the challenge of the oceans while there is still time. If the pattern of the last 25 years remains unchanged, there may be no healthy coral reefs to study by the next quarter century.
That's the whole purpose of having an underwater habitat. It's a powerful tool for understanding how the planet works.
So beautiful and peaceful. But is there something practical that comes out of this exploration? Yeah?
There are a lot of mysteries in the ocean that can really be solved only if you can stay underwater for weeks at a time and study the long-range cycles. Those long cycles are important. And they've led to some really interesting developments in biotechnology, the development of drugs, for example.
Like what?
Well, one example is an enzyme that you could not get from any creature on the surface of the Earth, but below the surface of the sea. An enzyme that is useful in DNA replication. That has implications for our health.
Mm-hmm. With everything being cut down now, research, is there money for this kind of research?
This is the danger. The Aquarius program is in grave danger of not being funded next year. And, you know, to put things in proportion, NASA recently spent $20 million developing a toilet for the space shuttle. That's important. But a sense of proportion, that's more money than was the whole budget last year for the National Undersea Research Program. So we need to put things in proportion, I think.
We all are fascinated by space, but we don't think of the oceans that are all around us.
More attention to that.
It's lovely to see you doing that. It really is. We'll be right back with more.
Fire rips through the Steuben County business, the latest in a busy day for area firefighters, and the clock ticking again on a federal budget agreement. Will there be another shutdown? These stories and more. 21 Alive News at 11 is up next.
What is this? What are you trying to hide? Drugs? Drugs? Drugs?
We're here to help you 24 hours a day with outpatient or hospital care. During the day or in the evening after work, you can call anytime.
He just seems so angry.
The first step in easing your child's pain is calling for help. Call Charter. It could make your child's life and yours so much better. Call and talk to one of our trained counselors about our options for treatment.
I wish I was dead.
Your family doesn't have to keep suffering. If your child or teenager has a problem, call us 24 hours a day. If you don't get help at Charter, please get help somewhere.
NBC in Burbank and Aviano Air Force Base in Italy. The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Featuring Kevin Eubanks and the Tonight Show Band. And me, I'm Ed Hall. Tonight, Jay welcomes Mike Myers, comedian Blake Clark, heroic survivor U.S. Marine Zachary Mayo, and Julie Brown reporting from Italy with our troops. And now, Jay